All right, guys. This is going to be another episode 251. I've been loving doing these live streams. It is amazing and it's super fun. And so I'm really excited to do this live stream as well. This one's a little bit different actually because not only am I streaming this on Facebook, I'm also streaming this on YouTube, Twitter, and I also have an Instagram live going as well. So this is really exciting. Again, if you guys don't know me, I'm Taylor, and I run the Happy Doc podcast. And this is a podcast to really help people be more fulfilled in their life. Specifically, I like to interview physicians, entrepreneurs, successful individuals in whatever craft that they do. And my goal really is at the end of the day to find out what makes people happy, what makes them fulfilled in life. And hopefully I get to learn their stories along the way. So for this episode, I am really excited to talk about a topic and a concept that I very much so enjoy. And it's something that I use in my daily life. So as you guys are listening to this, this is a sort of framework that I use to think about how I want to be super excited, happy, and run my day in a way that's going to let me be more effective. And hopefully it can help you as well. A little bit of a disclaimer for this episode. I'm going to mention some things that are sort of my personal experience. I'm going to mention some products and things that I use. I'm not telling you that this is a recommendation that you need to do this stuff. And I don't want you to think that. These are just things that I do. These are some of the ways I think. And it's really helpful for me. So if you take something away and you use it, I'm not telling you to do it. I'm just basically saying this is what I do, and you can take it or leave it. So with that being said, let's go ahead with the topic for today. Please, since this is a live stream, if you are watching, please go ahead and join in the conversation, like stuff, comment things. I'd love to see your feedback as I'm giving the content for this episode, and I'm really excited to do this one. So let's get right into this. So the topic for today is energy, thought, feeling, and action. And this is a framework that I use to think about how I sort of operate on a daily basis. Now, a lot of people, especially in the psychology field, if you ever studied psychology, there is a triad of the thought, feeling, and behavior triad, which basically means that our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors are all connected. And that makes a lot of sense, right? So if you are feeling a little bit down, that might make your thoughts a little bit more negative, and that might impact the behaviors that you choose to do, right? And if you're having more negative thoughts, that might influence the feelings and the actions. If you're not taking good action for yourself, that might influence the thoughts you're having, the feelings you're having. So all of these things are sort of interconnected, right? If we're feeling great, if we have positive emotions, that's going to impact our thoughts. And those positive emotions might emphasize or make us feel better, so then we can take good action. Underlying all of this, and the reason I've called it energy, thought, feeling, action, is at least for me, my basis is always in energy. So for me, I feel that the energy that I have is at the basis of everything. And if my energy is good, it's going to impact my thoughts, feelings, and actions. And if my energy is low, or it's poor, or it's negative, or I'm down from my baseline, that's going to really affect my thoughts, feelings, and actions. So this is sort of a framework that I use to say, let's bump up the energy. Let's find ways for us to recharge. Let's find ways for us to increase our energy so that we can ultimately improve our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. So let's talk about the importance of energy. Energy is really everything. You know, whatever we do, whatever we're doing on a daily basis, our energy level truly does impact the quality of our life. If we have low energy, you can see it in a room, you can see it when you're interacting with someone. And if you see someone with positive energy, with good energy, with high energy, you see that as well. The energy level of someone can ultimately impact your perception of them, your energy level, the way you perceive someone, the way they carry themselves. That's all reflected in their energy level. So ultimately, the energy level that someone has can really impact the quality of everything that we do. At the end of the day, when you think about what ultimately allows us to be successful, what allows us to have great relationships, what allows us to be, strong humans, our energy level has to be, it has to be something that we emphasize, because that's going to allow us to give to other people. And again, it's going to be what we can do for others. It's the way we are perceived. It's the way that we operate. And so if we have high energy, if we're living our lives in an enthusiastic manner, if we can take care of ourselves in a way that enhances our energy, that's ultimately going to, as I'm going to talk about now, impact everything else. So at its core, if we can theoretically find a way to improve our energy, if we can find a way to elevate whatever I'm calling this energy, or our vitality, or our overall way, ability to operate, that's going to impact our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. So again, if our energy is up, that's going to cause us to have more positive emotions. It's going to cause us to have more positive feelings, and it's going to cause us to have more positive thoughts. And I'm going to get to a little bit about what I mean in a second. I'm going to get more specific to some areas where we can consider our energy. So now let's go through some areas that we can think about to improve our energy, or if we're not doing these successfully, it's going to lower our energy. So one of my favorites is sleep. Now, I know we don't often talk about sleep, and maybe we don't consider sleep, but sleep is one of the most important things that we can do. Way back when, many years ago, it was thought that we could tough it out, that we could work through not sleeping. In fact, there were consistent studies being done in the Army where they tried to sleep deprive soldiers, thinking that we could just tough things out. And that's just not the case. It is not possible to get inadequate sleep and operate effectively. And in fact, it can cause people to have increased chance of seizures. Obviously, you can't operate machinery as well. You can't think straight and all of those things. So if our sleep is off, our energy levels are going to dip, and that's ultimately going to affect everything else. So it's really important. I'm going to talk about a couple things that I use to improve my sleep. And again, I'm not saying this is a recommendation for you. I'm just saying these are the things I do. And I see that there is a comment from Wendell Cole. What's up, man? How are you doing? Sleep is a big one. Thank you so much for watching this, man. I appreciate it. So yeah, sleep is definitely super important. And a couple things that I do specifically, I wear blue light glasses during the usually when I'm working with the screen, I actually use a blue light blocking glass, but it's not very it's still transparent, meaning it's not a full 100% blue light blocking glasses, but they definitely help with my sleep. Actually, a couple hours before bed, I wear super goofy. The ones I have are called UVEX glasses. They're 100% blue light blocking glasses. And I wear them 2 hours before bed, and it definitely helps with my internal melatonin secretion, and I just feel more tired. So sleep is huge for energy levels. Obviously, I'm actually going to talk about the mattress I have, which helps me tremendously, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But sleep is so important, and you have to think about your nighttime routine. You have to think about the temperature level, the noise in your room. You want to think about different things that you can do in your room. I also play some brown noise in the background, which really helps with sleep because it drowns out the noise that I have. But whatever is going to help you get to optimal sleep is ultimately going to be very helpful for you. And if you have any questions about it, I'm very passionate about sleep. It's one of my big ones. So, ooh, Leah Houston, very cool. Leah said, "Wow, Twitter Live, never knew." Yeah, so you can actually, if you guys didn't know this, you can do a live stream on Twitter using Periscope. So there's a fun one there. All right, so now we're going to get to, again, one of my also favorites is exercise. So exercise is absolutely important to your energy level, and everyone's a little bit different. Everyone's health status is a little bit different, but what I would recommend is for anyone who's trying to get back into exercising, the best thing to do, I would say, is to ultimately fall in love or find a movement pattern that you enjoy. So if you're more of like a swimmer, go ahead and start swimming. If you like walks outside, start walking again. It's not about going big, it's about starting small. So exercise for me is super important. My energy is highly impacted by exercise, and I try to make this a consistent thing that I do on a daily basis. I will at the very least get 30 minutes in. I switch up from weightlifting of some sort to cardio. I'm going to talk about one of my personal favorite things that I've been doing lately in terms of exercise in a little bit. But exercise affects everything, because at the end of the day, we evolved to move, and only in recent times are we having a very sedentary lifestyle, and ultimately that's impacting our energy levels. So super important, and I'm highlighting this because I want people to really think about how much movement they're getting in a day. And ideally speaking, 30 days of moderate 30 minutes of moderate exercise a day is usually the common recommendation. And as you improve your movement, you're able to get to the next level and start to enhance your energy level. So very important. Nutrition is ultimately going to impact our energy levels. So I'm not going to go too deep into this because nutrition is a very broad topic. There's a lot of debate constantly on nutrition, but I think the mainstay things for our nutrition, and some main things that I follow, are to drink plenty of water, to reduce any processed foods, to reduce sugars, especially processed sugars, increase vegetables, have whole foods, things that you physically can see that are real foods and not on a label, and have plenty of vegetables. Reduce, so some certain fruits have high sugars, and again, I'm not giving recommendations here. I'm just telling you exactly the things that I follow. But in general, something that I like to do is I like to have at least one big salad a day. And my nutrition pattern, I won't go too deep into it again because I'm not going to give you specific recommendations. But if you avoid those things, then you can speak to a nutritionist or a dietitian for recommendations, or follow what works for you. So I won't go too deep into that, but just know most people have a good idea about the foods that make them feel better and the foods that don't. But it's so important to focus in on nutrition, because good nutrition is ultimately going to enhance our energy, and that energy is going to allow us to operate at a better level. So the next one's water. Clearly, if you're dehydrated, if you're not paying attention to your water intake, a lot of the times we'll think we're hungry, but in fact, it's just that we're dehydrated. So please drink plenty of water. This is a PSA, an announcement. Please drink plenty of water. Super important, especially because it's so hot right now. So definitely get your water. It's going to improve your energy. Something that people don't think about often is our energy levels are highly impacted by community and by our social relationships, which is why during COVID right now, for COVID-19, we are definitely impacted by the fact that we do not have interactions with people on a daily basis, especially if we're isolated right now. Me doing this, stream right here, I'm still not really interacting with people. So this would be a much more engaging conversation if I could present, right? If I could be in front of people. And I can tell you that we don't notice this a lot, but interacting with people, if we're an introvert, we say that we get more recharged when we're by ourselves. But truly, when we also interact with people, that gives us a different level of energy. That interaction allows us also, we've evolved this way, that we are impacted by other individuals. So that's going to impact our energy levels. And that's another reason why we're ultimately really exhausted, and we have Zoom fatigue or video conferencing fatigue and all of that stuff. This is not the way that we normally operate. And there's a lot of science behind this as well, but it does impact our energy levels. So anything we can do to enhance our relationships, enhance our social life, even if it's digital in some way, but having that communication, even though we can't be near each other, is ultimately going to be very important. I understand right now we have to socially distance, and understand all of those things is impacting this aspect. With that being said, knowing you have a community, knowing you have people to communicate with, communicate with will ultimately allow us to enhance our energy levels. Relationships and communication. So in general, one of the highest and most valuable things we can do in life is to have great relationships with people. And our relationships are ultimately impacted by having open, honest communication and being there for people. And when we do not have good quality relationships, our energy level dips down because, again, we are social creatures. We are social beings, and that's going to impact our energy levels. If we know we have people that we care for, if we know that there's people that have our backs, we feel more excited. We feel like we're part of a troop. We feel like we're part of a group, a tribe, and that impacts our energy. So it's ultimately very important. And communication and being not just having normal communication, but having open, honest, authentic communication is going to help us improve our energy levels. It's going to make us feel like we're really with people. And ultimately, if we don't have those strong relationships, that's going to decrease our energy. The last one, actually, I have two more. The two more that I have here are passion and craft. So if we don't have something we're passionate about, if we don't have a craft, something that we look forward to working on, we're not going to be energetic. When we have something creative to work on, when we have something that we look forward to, when we have something that provides us that reason for being, something that we can say we own, something we can say that we do very well, that's going to impact our energy levels. So this is one of the reasons I talk a lot about on the podcast, doing something creative, doing something you're passionate about, having a craft, having something you can work on consistently. A lot of people have music, art, writing. For me, podcasting is one of mine. It can be an exercise form. It doesn't matter, but it's absolutely important to think about or work on a craft, something you can look forward to getting better at every day. It impacts our energy, absolutely. All right, silence, nature, relaxation, meditation. I lump these guys together to say that a lot of times, especially in our Western society, we're taught that we need to have our nose to the grindstone. We need to work constantly, and we have to do this all the time, and there's no time for rest. I'll tell you that having more silence, being in nature, finding spaces to relax, and one of my favorites is meditation. Specifically, I use transcendental meditation. That's the technique I learned. This will have a huge impact on energy levels. And if we work, but we don't have the other side of it, we will ultimately have low energy, and it's going to affect our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors. And so we have to incorporate this. So again, I'm making a list here of things to consider. I'm not going to go too in depth on these concepts or ideas right now. So I'm going to talk about some of my favorite energy boosters. Some of these are going to sound pretty strange, but I think it would be fun for you guys to hop in and listen to some of the ridiculous things that I do. But honestly, they work, at least for me. And before, again, I go into some of these things that I do, I'm going to tell you a disclaimer. The disclaimer is I'm not telling anyone on this episode or in this video to do any of these things. I'm just telling you these are what I do, and these are some of my favorite energy boosters. So with that being said, let's go into some of these things. So Wim Hof breathing. I'm not telling you to do this one. Wim Hof breathing. If you guys look up Wim Hof, he is a very interesting man. And he developed a technique specifically to essentially breathe. And all you do is you do deep inhales with some exhaling, and then you do deep inhale, and then you exhale lightly, and then you deep inhale. And you can watch the technique online if you'd like. But this is something that, for whatever the reason is, it gets me very centered into my body. There's a breath hold involved in this technique. And through this technique, I've been able to, I think my record now is 2 minutes and 40 seconds of a breath hold. But again, I'm not telling you to do this, but through this technique, I've ultimately gotten into deeper meditative states. I've been able to be more pulled into my body. A lot of the times when we're stuck in life or something's going on, we're often sort of out there thinking about stuff, being stuck in our heads. And this gets me really back into my body, and it really does improve my energy. And I pair this technique with this next one, which I'm also not telling you to do, which is a cold shower. And with these two techniques combined, the Wim Hof breathing and the cold shower, I ultimately have awesome energy, and I usually try to do this in the morning. And it really gets me into a place of being really present, of having plenty of energy. And the cold shower specifically is very uncomfortable. It's very hard. But because I've done something so hard in the morning and I've taken a cold shower, everything else becomes a lot easier. The willpower to do tough things aren't as tough anymore because of the cold shower. So ultimately, that's been a really helpful technique for me, and I can go into it in more detail if anyone has questions, but that is something that I do. The gratitude practice, this goes without saying, but the mindset that you have going into a day affects everything. So if you choose to be grateful for things, if you choose to be grateful for what you have in life, ultimately, that's going to allow you to have a smile on your face, be happy that you woke up in the morning, be happy that you have the resources that you do, be happy that you have the friends that you do. Choose things that you can really ground yourself in, be authentically grateful. And ultimately, even though I used to think it was really cheesy, when I used gratitude practice, I ultimately just felt better. And it really does work. So I highly recommend people to write their gratitudes or to spend some time just saying thank you. It really does go a long way. Writing goals. So I actually have a whiteboard that I have next to where I work, and writing my goals and having a clear focus of some of the things I want to work on in a day are very important. I write here on this video, there's something that says the one thing. The one thing is of my goal list. I have to I have to look at the one thing that I must get done today. And if I do that thing, I'm going to be super proud of myself. It's not something that is like a have to do. It's something that if I do this, it's going to make my life a lot better. It's something that is a task that will ultimately improve my future self, allow me to get to something that I want to do, allow me to get deeper in my work. So the one thing is something that I focus in on, that is a goal I must complete in that day. And if I do complete it, it makes me feel awesome. So that's super important. All right, guys. So now I'm going to go into things I've purchased, which have been awesome for my energy level and have improved my quality of life a little bit. So I'm going to go through some of the things that I've purchased within the last year, which have been pretty much game changers for me. So one thing that I'm going to go into for this one is the Hypervolt. And the Hypervolt is basically a fancy massage tool. I'm sure you've seen some of these before, but the Hypervolt is really great because basically what it does, it kind of looks like a drill, but it has a massage head on the end, and it's really good for getting like painful knots in my shoulders, in my neck, in my arms, different sore spots. I get my lower back, I get my upper back, and it's just a fantastic massage tool. It's definitely pricey, but it's probably one of the best things I've literally ever used for my body. No one's paying me to say this, by the way, but the Hypervolt has been something that's enhanced me being in less pain, and as such, I've had improved energy levels. So it's an awesome tool. My purple mattress. So everyone has a different mattress and everyone has a different preference, but the purple mattress for me in the last year has provided me such better, like my sleep has just been so much better. I don't have any pain ever. My bed is so comfortable. It sleeps super cool. I love my purple mattress, and my sleep has just been so much better with it. And ultimately that's impacted my energy. So if anyone's looking for a mattress, I'm just telling you the purple is awesome. So that's definitely enhanced my energy for sure. The steel mace, something else I'm not going to tell you to do. You can look up what a steel mace is. It's an awesome exercise tool because the gyms aren't open. And I told you that exercise ultimately enhances energy. I take that very seriously. And I started using the steel mace. There's different weights with the steel mace, But long story short, you can think about a weight on one end, and there's a long lever, which is the pole, and you're essentially swinging kind of like a sledgehammer. So if you look it up, you'll understand it a little bit more. But it's an awesome exercise tool. It's done wonders for my upper back and my shoulders, and ultimately, it's made me a lot stronger. So I have been slowly increasing the amount of weight I've been using with the steel mace. I can do it at home, and I get awesome workouts with it. So the steel mace has been a purchase I've made that's ultimately increased and improved my ability to work out, and that's ultimately enhanced my energy. So I'm going to summarize a little bit about what I talked in this live stream and episode for today. Energy, thoughts, feelings, actions, and I've gone through a whole list of different things that can improve energy. You guys will notice that what I talked about in this whole thing are very intuitive in nature. The truth is that what's ultimately going to impact our life and make it more positive in nature is to focus in on our energy levels. But to get deeper into our energy levels, to make those incremental improvements, we really do need to focus in on the basics. Most people are giving up their basics, like good sleep, good exercise, good nutrition, good relationships, doing things we enjoy. We're foregoing those things for something else, such as working excessive hours, having too high stress levels. We're letting other things get in the way of us ultimately taking care of ourselves. And self-care is just such an important aspect of enhancing energy levels, and an enhanced energy level will ultimately improve our thoughts, improve our feelings, improve our actions and behaviors, so that we can be at our best. So I really do think, and it's really simple, but having the discipline, creating the plan, really focusing in on the energy that we have is ultimately going to make our thoughts, our feelings, our actions so much better. And that's why it's ultimately very important. And I harp on energy all the time as something that's going to be huge to our quality of life. So I know that was a big episode. I know I went through a lot of ideas and concepts. I didn't go too deep into any of them. I wanted to make a holistic conversation here about energy in general and how this framework ultimately allows me to optimize my lifestyle so I can operate at my best level, and so that I can be there for the people I love, be there at my work at my best level. And ultimately, this is the Happy Doc podcast. So I want to be happy. I want to be fulfilled. And I hope that other individuals find different routes of them being fulfilled as well. I'm going to leave it open for some thoughts and questions, and then I'm going to close out for today. Okay, so I think for the most part, it's pretty. All right, so there's no questions I see here. I want to appreciate everyone who has checked out today's episode. I love the likes. I love the comments. Thank you so much. And, this is a topic that I'm very passionate about. And there's so much to cover in this that ultimately, if you guys listen to some of the other episodes, I go in deep into these different concepts. And I'm always excited when my other guests come on to talk about them as well. So everyone, thank you so much for listening. I'll see you on the next one, and take care.